Parenting humans is a lot of work. Maintaining your home is a lot of work. Showing up at work is, well, it's a lot of work. Making sure all the humans are in the right place at the right time takes work. Investing in your own self-care and into your relationships is, you guessed it, work. That is a whole lot of work, as in a lot of work. And studies show that moms do way more than our fair share of this work. This is true for the actual execution of these tasks and also for the mental load that comes along with making sure every human in your household makes it to the dentist at least twice a year. Today, we're going to dive into sharing the load. How the heck do you change the way that things have been always done at your house? A reframing of your mindset about how and who can do these tasks, and the approach I tried that really, truly didn't work. I'm Tracy Bingaman. I'm a full-time working mom of 5 who got sick, burned out, quit my job, and now I teach women how to mom smarter, not harder. The pressures of modern motherhood are intense. You're a busy working mom juggling all the balls and living in fear of dropping the exact wrong one. Here you'll find the tools you've been searching for to confidently prioritize your life and optimize your ability to rock all the hats that you choose to wear. I'll show you how to break through your limiting beliefs so you'll have more time and more money than you know what to do with. Because even in the busiest seasons of life, you can grow to master your money, own your time, and be the mom with all the margin. This is Fulfilled as a Mom. Fulfilled as a Mom is supported by Curl Vitality. I'm embarrassed to admit that I've been using my diffuser wrong for years. Curl Vitality's diffusing guide includes 5 step-by-step ways to diffuse, and each one tells you the specific results you'll get. If you're looking to reduce frizz, define your curls, and increase or decrease volume, you'll know exactly which diffusing method to choose. My favorites are the hover diffusing for curlies routine and the upside down curly approach. This guide includes written printable instructions and also a video, so you'll never feel lost or unsure what the steps exactly look like. The best part, it's free. Tap the link in the show notes to start using your diffuser to get the exact results you want for your curly hair today. First, I'm going to tell you a very humbling story. Dan is now the maker of kids' lunches at our house. It's a task he's been completing for a couple of years now. Let me share how this happened and give you an example of how not to get your partner to want to help with tasks around the house, relative to childcare or even in your relationship. I cannot tell you why because I truly do not know, but making kids' lunches felt like a huge burden to me. We never had a conversation about who would be responsible for this, and somehow it ended up on my plate. Surprise, surprise. We didn't have to pack lunch when our kids were really little because we had a nanny and she would come to the house and feed them out of the fridge. Then when we transitioned to daycare, we bought these great lunch boxes that we love, and off we went on the adventure of packing both breakfasts and lunches for daycare each and every day for multiple kids. I'm not sure what it was about packing the lunches, but I dreaded it each day. It simply didn't matter if I packed them the night before or the morning of. I despised coming up with food, figuring out what to put in the lunch boxes, having food in the fridge that was available for them, and things that I thought the kids would actually eat. It made me mad when the lunches came home with food that they hadn't eaten. It was just this task that was both thankless and never ending, and in my truly humble opinion, a huge pain in the ass. We had to do it every freaking day, and I didn't want to do it. I tried resetting my mindset. Every week I would tell myself, this is the week that I'm going to stay on top of it, and I'm not going to let it get the best of me. And every week I would end up pissed off, sometimes resorting to doing things like throwing in 2 packs of gummies in one kid's lunchbox because I just couldn't figure out what to put in there. One day, not my finest moment as a wife or a human being, I all but threw the lunchboxes at Dan, and I told him that I would be boycotting making lunches for the foreseeable future. I told him that it was on him to make lunches or our kids simply wouldn't eat. I told him that he was going to take over the task and he was solely responsible for making lunches. I also specified that I would not be available for help or consultation, and that if he had questions, that I would just not answer them. Like, who's going to eat this? What should I pack for that? I was just like, no. So first of all, there are so many relationship red flags here and communication snafus that I'm honestly kind of surprised that I'm sharing this story with you at all. It was the exact wrong way to get Dan to actually buy in and be willing to take over this task and freaking help me. So if you, like me, find yourself saying things like, I always and you never, and you're tempted to throw these tasks at your partner like a hot potato or even delegate them, listen on for ways that you can get their buy-in, transfer all of the tasks to them willingly, but in a much nicer and more finessed way than I did, so you aren't still dealing with fielding all the questions about the task or still feeling like you're ultimately responsible to check their work. So don't delegate. Here's the problem with delegation. You know, that approach where you assign a task to someone, namely your partner, and then you still feel ultimately responsible for it. You feel compelled to check in on them. You're tempted to step in if they're doing it wrong or if they aren't doing it on the timeline that you'd like it done. So here's what you should be doing instead. You want to transfer the entire responsibility of the task to your spouse. This part is important and you have to get their buy-in. Don't do it the way that I did it. For us, this was me clearly asking for help and communicating that we need a better system for how we're dividing up the load of housework in our household, and waiting for Dan to say yes and then starting the conversation. Then, during that conversation, present possible tasks for your partner to help with. By help, I mean take complete and total ownership of. If your partner is going to be the lunch maker, it's entirely their responsibility. There is no asking you what you think the kids like or what you think they should pack or where the animal crackers live. A resource that we have found to be really helpful at our house relative to this is a book called Fair Play by Eve Rodsky. In it, Eve recommends that the partner who takes over a task is responsible for conception, planning, and execution of the task. That means that your partner realizes that the lunches need to be made, make sure that there's food in the house to make said lunches, and then makes the freaking lunches. Fair Play also recommends that you, as a couple, agree on what she calls the minimum standard of completion. This is the minimum that must be done for the task to be considered complete. So at our house, Dan is typically the garbage taker outer, which means that on Wednesday nights, he goes around the whole house, collects all the garbage, breaks down boxes for recycling, puts them in the big bins, and wheels them down to the bottom of a very long driveway. The thing that he didn't do, and the problem that we ran into, is that I felt like the minimum standard of completion for taking out the trash should include putting a new fucking garbage bag in the trash can. And he did not feel like that was part of the task. And so he would do all the and I'm cleaning up for dinner and I throw shit in this stupid can with no bag in it. And so like, I'm supposed to be grateful that he's putting in all the effort to take out the freaking garbage. But then I throw some like spaghetti sauce and then we have to wash out. It's like a big thing. So like, we're like having our weekly meeting and I'm like, listen, you're the trash taker outer, and the trash taker outer should replace the goddamn trash bag. And he's like, okay, I can do that. Like, he didn't even know it was a problem. And I was pissed every Wednesday night because he wasn't putting the trash bag in. And I was like, if this is your job, you got to do the whole job. And he's like, I thought I was doing the whole job. So you have to establish a minimum standard of completion. Like, what is this task is done? And it standardizes the role. So that means if I'm taking out the trash, I know what my role is. And if he's taking out the trash, he knows his role. Busy working mom. I used to wear it like a badge of honor. Then I realized that I was drowning in to-dos and running around like a lunatic, all because this key piece was missing. I wasn't clear on what my deeply held values were. And when everything's important, nothing is important. Now that I've done the work and figured out what I value most, it makes life so much easier. Those core values serve as the compass for the direction of my life, and they inform my heck yes and my hell no responses to each and every opportunity. I've taken the process to curate core values and boiled it down into 3 simple steps. I've laid out the exact process to gain clarity so you can start applying your deeply held values to day-to-day life. To start living a purpose-driven life full of what you love and void of all that other shit, download your Core Value Curator today. The link's waiting for you in the show notes. So you're probably wondering, what do you do if your partner doesn't know how to do some of these tasks? So they do not get a free pass just because they can't or are pretending that they can't. You learned it once and they can learn it. They can figure out where the diapers and the baby clothes go, how to run the washer and dryer, and even how to sign school permission slips. You can train them as a part of transferring full responsibility of the task, or they can invent their own way to execute the task. They might even think of a better way. But the bottom line is, even if they don't know how to do it today, they can and they should learn. And the way I'm saying this kind of feels like once they take a task, it's theirs forever, which I would honestly prefer, but it's not really the way that it works. The truth is that whatever you're doing in your household, it's going to be constantly changing and evolving. A great example of this at our house is doing the dishes. Neither one of us has a burning desire to clean the dishes, but we both really enjoy when the kitchen is clean. We alternate and regularly pass the role of kitchen cleanup back and forth day to day and even throughout the day on some days. On weekends, Dan likes to cook a bigger breakfast, and I'll step into the kitchen after we're finished eating to address the carnage that is the kids helping with pancakes. After dinner, we typically have game night or a family reading night, some activity we're doing together. And one parent will take a few minutes as that activity is ramping up to clean the kitchen, start to put away some of the dishes, and put the food away. It's not black and white, but often the person who does the cooking is not the one who does the cleaning, or if someone has just had a really stressful or busy day, the other one steps in. I mentioned earlier that we have a weekly meeting, so we call it a parental powwow, and it's this recurring event on our calendar. Sunday nights at 8 p.m. after our little kids are in bed. So here is what we review at our weekly meeting. The calendar for the upcoming week. Who is picking up and dropping off who, where, and when? What unusual events do we have on the calendar? Is there anything we need to make each other aware of that we stuck on the calendar but maybe forgot to mention? Raise his hand. That's me. I'm always like, I put it on the calendar 6 weeks from now. Didn't you see it? The second thing is the meal plan. So we review what we're having for dinner and a rough idea of who's going to be cooking it. We have a shared Google Calendar. I plan those on Saturdays. I put them in yellow as an all-day event so that I don't have to answer questions at 6 p.m. on a weeknight when Dan's like, what's for dinner? Because you can check the calendar as well as I can check the calendar. And the third thing is a check-in on the division of labor. How are we doing? Are there any tasks that you're currently responsible for that you need a break from? Are you starting to feel resentful about the division of labor currently? Does it feel uneven or unfair to you? Are we both feeling good? Do you have the bandwidth to do more? If someone has a particularly busy week or something is going on at work or personally, we'll see if there's anything that we can do to accommodate for that. That doesn't necessarily mean that if your partner has a project or something coming up at work, that it automatically falls to you. It could mean bringing in some help from friends or family, paying a sitter or a house cleaner, or someone outside to help chip in during that busy season. And the fourth thing, which is a little bit woo-woo, is how can I love you well this week? We ask each other what we need from each other. In this busy season with running a business and 2 jobs and young kids, it's so easy for your relationship to take a back seat. This is a great way to check in and see how we're serving each other and if each of us are having our needs met. I want to remind you that if you slipped into the habit of being the primary caretaker of your kids, the person responsible for all the household duties and the ultimate holder of the schedule, you aren't alone. And it also doesn't have to be like that in the future. You have the ability to be intentional about sharing the load with your partner or through outsourcing, and you do not have to do all the things. Be patient because this is a process. It didn't take 2 minutes for you to get into that situation, and it's going to take a while for you to get out. Be clear in your requests for help. Your partner is equally as responsible for taking care of your kids and your home, your relationship as you are. Yes, it takes time and effort to change the landscape of how many of these jobs you are performing. And yes, it is so worth it not to be the ultimately responsible parent. Trust me, it is worth the work, and dividing up the labor, redistributing it to your partner, or outsourcing it is a key element to creating fulfillment in your life. It's actually really good to not feel like you're parenting your partner, and by being proactive about getting them to take a more active role in parenting themselves and also in doing housework can help to shift that dynamic in your marriage. Until next time, keep on taking steps towards your most fulfilled life. Thanks for being here. I'm doing a victory dance right now because you did it. You took the time to tune in, to reach for a better life, and to take care of you. Did our time together go by way too fast for anyone else? Head to fulfilledasamom.com for show notes and all the discount codes from today's show. You now have the tools and knowledge to change your life. Go blaze your trail, take that step, make the shift, and do the work to create fulfillment in your life today.